Blessings. How's everybody doing today? I pray that all is well. Pray that all is well. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to Deliver Me From Me. My name is Apostle Alecia Biggers, and on this station, this is where we teach deliverance. And this is a station This is a station for those who want to eat meat. I don't know about you, what the Bible talk about. When I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And when you're ready to grow in God and you're tired of yourself, you're tired of making mistakes, you're ready to eat the meat of the word so that you can begin to learn and apply the word of God to your life, and where God would give you revelation to show you how to walk and be that vessel that he has called and ordained for you to be. Blessings, mother, blessings. So today what we're going to talk about is part 2. Last week I talked about trauma bonding and how trauma bonding, better known as demonic bonding. And so today we're going to go into a little more deeper of the trauma bonding. But what we're talking about today, excuse me, that trauma bonding / demonic bonding, it's like selling your soul to the devil. I'm going to say that again. When a person is spiritually bonded to a person that is harming them, it's just like a person selling their soul to the devil. But the thing is, they don't remember it. The Bible talk about that my people perish because they lack knowledge. You know what? We have gotten so familiar with the things of God that some people don't recognize that you're dealing with a spirit. Just like how Holy Spirit is a spirit, the devil, he has demonic spirits down here on earth, and where people fail to realize these demons are living inside of human beings. And so if you wonder where the devil at, he's using people. And so when you find people doing obnoxious things, evil things, hateful things, that's an indication that those demons are in the minds of people. And so when we're talking about a trauma bond, let me give you the definition. Trauma bond is a loyalty to a person who is destructive. This is where you got to understand a demonic spirit needs a body in order for it to display what it wants to do. So we're talking about when you find yourself in a relationship that you want to leave, but you find yourself keep going back to something that is no good for you. This is an indication that you're dealing with a trauma bond. This is where it is destructive. It occurs because of cycles of abuse, followed by intermittent love or reward. This treatment creates a powerful emotional bond that is extremely hard to break. This is where when you're in a relationship and you say, I'm tired of this, and you say all these things, and you find yourself going back to the very thing that you said that you was tired of. That's a demonic trauma bond. And you got to understand, it's really a soul tie. What does that mean? It means that your mind and that person's mind has bonded together. And so a lot of times we don't understand. That's why the Bible tells us when we have sex, he tells us, to have sex with your spouse, because guess what? If you're just casually having sex with people, what you fail to realize is that you are forming a spiritual bond with that person. And it may be a one-night stand, but you don't understand. You're actually putting your mind with that person's mind. What does that mean? That you're going to begin to start thinking like that person. You're going to begin to start acting like that person. You're going to begin to start carrying out mannerism and thought processes like that person. Blessings to you, because you have joined yourself to that person. And see, and this is where we got to understand the devil is tricky. He wants to get you at a place when you don't know what trauma is. You don't know what abuse is. And you just willfully just waiting for things to magically to work out. And you've been waiting, a year passed by, 2 years on passed by, 3 years on passed by, and you just still waiting. But you find yourself in this relationship where you are unhappy, where you're unproductive, where you're not flourishing, where you're stagnated. where everything in your life is going downhill, this is an indication that you're in a demonic bond. You're in a soul tie and not understanding what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to lose yourself where you no longer have a desire to please yourself, but you're giving everything to please the other individual. And when you do this to please, blessings, Apostle, to try to please the other individual, you think that if you keep showing them that you're faithful, you keep showing them that you're a keeper, that they're going to change their mind, when you got to really understand that this is a demonic tie. The devil is a deceiver and he is a liar. You have a bunch of people in relationships where these people lie to you and tell you that they're going to marry you and they don't marry you, where they tell you that they're going to do better and they don't get better. You got to understand that the enemy is trapping you in a demonic bond. And what this bond is that when you want to leave, you'll find yourself that you can't leave. You'll find yourself fantasizing on the good while you're ignoring the bad. The person been on broke your jaw, but you're sitting up there looking about when they bought you a ring and they brought you flowers, where you're now turn your head from the harm, and this where you begin to now take heed to the good times, taking heed to the good memories while ignoring the bad thing. Can I tell you, you got to understand that this is a demonic tie. And if we do not understand the spiritual realm, you got to understand, just because you think you ain't in the bed with them no more, this is why somebody who you had sex with, from time to time, you'll think about them. From time to time, they on your mind, because that tie is still in your head. That person is still connected to you. What happens if I have sex with 10 people? This is why you find yourself, sometimes people are sick. They having fibroids. They got tumors inside of their uterus. They find themselves with excessive bleeding. They got all kind of issues going on because the different partners that they have slept with, they are still connected to those people, and they have no idea that those spirits are inside of them, because you thinking that, you know what's wrong with me? I'm going to the doctor. The doctor can't find anything wrong, because this is a spiritual issue. This is a spiritual issue, and we gotta wake up and stop being ignorant and understand the devil. He is smart. He knows that people do not know the laws of the spirit. He knows that people don't understand that when you come together with somebody, you got to understand you are forming one with them. And this is why I told you the person will try to love bomb you. Love bomb you is where they'll give you gifts. They'll do little things to make you happy. But when they do that, you got to get ready, because now they're getting ready to drop the hammer on you. They're getting ready to now to call you out your name. They're getting ready to criticize you. They're getting ready to break you down. This is a cycle where people do this, where they want to break you, and they want to form your soul where they control you. This is where you find a lot of ladies being in abusive relationships, and where they have low self-esteem. They got poor self-worth, where they don't respect themselves, because all they hear is 24/7 somebody calling them out of their name, somebody telling them that they're stupid, that they're not good enough. And I do want to say, trauma bonding can also be in a relationship with a family member. It can be a family and a child, but I'm going to go interchangeably, letting you know, when you find yourself in abuse, you might as well, you are selling your soul to the devil, because God never meant for us to take abuse. If you begin to call a puppy, and you call a puppy all kind of names, do you not know it's going to affect that dog mindset? Do you not know it's going to affect the way that dog feels? So guess how you think it's going to feel if you're in a relationship with somebody telling you that you're stupid, you're dumb, you'll never be anything, and you hearing this every day. That person is trying to train you that you are defeated, that they don't want you to go anywhere. They want you to be stuck. They want you to feel like they are the only one that wants you. And you got to understand that this is an assignment from hell. We got to understand the devil is not coming with a pitchfork. He's not coming with no red pointed ears. He's coming looking like a regular man and a woman that will say and do anything they can to abuse you verbally and to abuse you physically. But when we don't know about relationships, we call ourselves toughing it out. We're calling ourselves being faithful. We call ourselves being committed, not understanding that this is a trick of the enemy. And so what the enemy wants you to do is he wants you to stay in this demonic bond, and he want to fool you to think that this person loves you because you're focusing on the little gifts. But you got to go back to when they call you out, when they call you out your name, when they made you feel some kind of way. And this is a constant cycle going up and down. This is where the demonic bond that many betrays and love is in reality. It's an evil connection spiritually. This is an evil tie. It's a tie that you're tying your mind to their mind, and you can't move on. You wonder why you can't let it go. You wonder why you wake up thinking about him in the morning. You think about her in the morning. You wonder why, they always on your mind. You can't even work on your job. You can't go to school because that person is plaguing your mind. You are dealing with a demonic spirit on the inside of you, and you are connected to that person, and that person knows exactly what they're doing to you. That's why the moment that they feel you get ready to leave, this is why they want to try to be good for the next couple of weeks, and they want to shower you with gifts. Then they go back to their regular self. This is an evil time to manipulate you. This is when when a person continue to believe these false promises, even though they're constantly proven to be unreliable. You feel like, you feel loyal to that person. You feel like you just got to be there for them, when you got to know that all of this is manipulation. The Bible talk about the devil, that he's a deceiver. He's a liar. He's a father of lies. And this is where a person will look you in your face, knowing that they don't have any good intentions for you. But they want to play with your feelings. They want to play with your emotions, and they want to play with your life. Women, can I tell you, sometimes you can spend years of your life waiting on somebody, waiting on this man to turn. Fellas, you're waiting on this woman to turn, and you won't spend 10 years, 15 years, and you're constantly being abused. You got to know that this is a demonic bond. This is a demonic connection, and this is where the enemy have got you in a trap, and the only person that can get you out is God. And this is where you got to be willing to look at what you're doing. This is where you got to listen to the voices of truth that God put in your life to tell you the way that you're being treated is not right, that you're looking bad, that your life is going downhill, where you don't have anything in life. You're losing everything since you've been with this person. See, this is where you got to be able to look at your life. When you with a person and you start losing things start getting worse, and things is never ever getting good. The only time it's good is when you are doing something. Otherwise, you got to know that you're in a demonic connection. This is a demonic tie. And this is where the enemy wants to keep you at a place where you don't realize that you have separated yourself from God, because you have made this person your God. And you got to understand, God is a jealous God. And so God will allow you to be in this situation with this person until you recognize that it's not of him. And so sometimes you may see family members, loved ones, people why is God allowing this to happen? Because God gave every man a choice. And it's a dangerous thing when God has forewarned you, when you have been convicted, and you still thinking, well, I'm just going to hold on. I'm still going to believe. Can I tell you, we can pray all we want to. We can fast all we want to. But one thing you got to know about God, God would not go up against a man or woman mind. He won't go up against their will. And so if they want to be evil, if they want to do mischief, if they want to hurt another person, guess what? God will allow that person to do what they want to do, because guess what? When judgment comes, it would not be said that God forced you. It's where he allowed you to do what you wanted to do, because he give every man and woman the freedom of choice. And so you got to understand, this is why you either going to learn from instruction, and this is why sometimes why I'm always on the station saying we have to learn to be better parents. We got to learn to follow instructions, learn from our mistakes, because guess what? If you don't learn from mama and daddy and whoever raised you, experience is going to teach you. Life is going to teach you, and guess what? You're not going to like the way that life teaches you. And so especially when you're dealing with somebody who the devil has sent to destroy you in your life, you got to understand that it's because you have allowed it and you have committed it. The Bible said, how can two walk together unless they agree? And so a person is in agreement when they are allowing somebody to mistreat them, when they're allowing somebody to tell them lies, when they say that they sorry, then they go back and do the same thing again. They say that they sorry, then they go back and do the same thing again. This is where you got to begin to understand it's because you're being flat out rebellious. You're choosing not to listen when you're seeing the pattern of this person. So when you see a person doing the same thing over and over again, it will behoove you to realize this is how this person really is. And when you're telling this person, you know what you're doing hurting me, and they ignoring what you're saying, you are dealing with a demonic bond. You're dealing with something supernatural, something that's invisible within that person, and it got you connected, and you'll cry yourself to sleep, but you'll get up the next day hoping that it's going to be better, not understanding that you are fooling yourself because God forewarned you about this. And so this is where we got to understand that our society, Hollywood, is what we glorify. They glorify on TV. You know what? Oh, these relationships. And you know what? The makeup sex is the good sex. Y'all fuss and fight and he'll knock you upside your head. And the best makeup sex. This is where our culture is trying to teach us to be dysfunctional. This is where our culture is trying to teach us to have dysfunctional and toxic relationships. And so when you're looking at TV and you're modeling your relationship behind television, you got to understand that television is trying to demonically connect you with the mindset of the world, the God of this world. Satan is the God of this world, and he wants you to give away your soul. The Bible says, why gain the world and lose your soul? He wants you to lose your soul by what feels good to your flesh, because the Bible tells us that our flesh would never be saved. This is why you got to understand when a person dies, their flesh is going to be, it's going to die here on earth. This is where their spirit man and their soul go up to God. But this meat here, it's going to stay down here on earth because it will never be saved. And so when we're trying to please our flesh, you got to understand that, blessings to you, you are dealing with a demonic bond. And so I got a text I want to show you. In the Bible, looking at Samson and Delilah. This is a common passage of scripture, and I want to show you how Samson was forewarned to stay away from Delilah. He was forewarned to stay away from the worldly women. But you got to understand, because when he was forewarned and they told him, marry your own kind, stay with your own kind. What does that mean? Be with a person that agree with you, that believe what you believe, that we want the same thing. But Samson had his mind on a worldly woman, and now understanding Satan knew exactly what Samson wanted. See, and this is why I'm telling you how a person can sell their soul to the devil, and if they don't even know it, and if you are not dealing with your lust, you are not dealing with weaknesses in your life. This is why on this station we talk about weaknesses. I teach you how to identify what is going on in your life, because when you don't know what's going on with you, guess what? The devil is going to plot an attack against you. So the devil knew that Samson liked harlots. He know that Samson liked beautiful women. And so guess what the devil did? He plotted and got with Delilah and some of the leaders of the city. They began to pay her, and they said, we're going to pay you to seduce him. We want to pay you to take him down. And guess what? When Samson saw Delilah, that's the first thing he got with. He slept with her. So you got to understand, when you got to be mindful when you're around here sleeping with people and you think this is a one-night stand, you think that this is just a booty call, you got to understand that you are picking up other people's mindsets. You got to understand that you're picking up emotional bondage from that person, and you are connecting yourself with that person. And so this is where The enemy wants to control you and manipulate you. Why? Because you willfully gave your body. So when you give your body to somebody that you're not married to, guess what you are doing? You are degrading the household of faith, because your body is the temple of God. And so when we don't take care of our bodies, and when we come together and be with somebody that's not our spouse, you begin to take on their mindset. You begin to think the way that they think. You begin to talk the way that they talk. You begin to now follow, and you become one with them, and you begin to do the same thing that they begin to do, because you have given up yourself to this person. Now understanding that this is a sacrifice. This is a sacrifice. This is where God came, where Jesus was a sacrifice. He gave up his body for our lives that we can live. And so when we come together and when we sleep with people who we're not married to, you are giving up your body as a sacrifice. And so when Samson slept with this woman, she began to start asking him in Judges 16. She began to start asking him, what is the key to your strength? And he began to tell her, if I do this, and then she'll do that to him, and then she'll call the Philistines, and then he'll come and beat him up. And you know what? The woman just kept doing this, and she said, you don't love me, because if you love me, you will tell me the truth. See, it's telling me when you got a demonic tie, you would tell somebody how to hurt you. Samson did not even dawn on his mind. Everything he told her to do, she did. And she'll say the Philistines is coming, where he didn't even recognize that she was sabotaging him. He didn't even recognize that the enemy, he was sleeping with the enemy, and he kept on telling her different things to do, and she would do it, and she would say, you know what, you lying to me. So when you look at Judges 16, I wanted you to look at verse 15. It says, then she said to him, how can you say I love you when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. See, can I tell you, when you're dealing with a demonic bond and a trauma bond, they want to use the word love when it's really lust. They want to sit up there and, you know I love you. You know you the only one for me. If I didn't love you, would I be here? If I didn't love you, I wouldn't keep coming back to you. Not understanding these people are trying to train you. They trying to break your will down. They trying to get you at a place where the enemy can destroy you and you won't be able to get back up. And listen, in verse 16, it says, and it came to pass when she pestered him. Look at this. She's pestering him daily with her words, and she's pressing him so that his soul was vexed to death. She keep on asking him, tell me the secret to your strength. Tell me why you so strong. You got to understand, people will be assigned to your life to get information out of you. They will be assigned to your life to get you out of the will of God. You made a declaration, for God I live and for God I die. And since you said that, now people are coming into your life from the past, want to tell you, let's go back and do these old things. Old lovers on showed up. Now you like, what has happened? The devil have heard your confession, and now the devil is trying to get you to make a tie with him and make you leave your connection with the Lord. And this is what we got to begin to understand. This is what the devil does. He puts people in relationships, and this is where we get into our flesh. Because see, the enemy knows with a man can have sex with a woman and he don't think nothing about it. He can have sex with somebody who he don't love. He can have sex with somebody who he hates. Because we talked about how Leah and Jacob, and how Jacob was having sex with Leah and he couldn't stand her. He didn't like her. So we understand that some men will sleep with you when they don't even like you. And so even with women, we're more affectionate because we thinking that if we sleep with somebody, we giving you our best. We giving you our body, and not understanding when you are wounded and when you are abused, your senses are dull. It's where you're not recognizing where the enemy is trying to make a fool of you. And this is why I'm always saying, please get some deliverance, get some healing. Look at yourself and stop being at a place where you don't care. Stop being at a place where you think, if I buy them this, if I give them this, they're going to want me. Can I tell you, you can't make no man or woman love you. I don't care what you give them. I don't care what you buy them. I don't care what you do. You can't make nobody love you that do not love you. And this is why if we don't learn to love ourselves, sometimes we are attracting these kinds of spirits, because like I said, a lot of these spirits are narcissistic spirits. There are people who want to control you because they can tell you're looking for love. They can tell that you're dealing with low self-esteem. They can tell you don't value yourself. They can tell you don't really care about yourself. So they come into your life treating you like a princess. They come in your life treating you like you're a king, not understanding that they're waiting to tear you down. They're waiting to devour you because they want to pull you in. They want to pull you in the snare. They want to pull you in the trap to get you at a place where you're accepting what they're doing as it's okay, because you thinking that you got yourself something. You're thinking that it's all good. And then when you really see when this thing dropped the bomb on you, then you wonder what happened because you ignored the red flags. This is where God is saying, I'm trying to show you who people are. I'm showing you. Maya Angelou said, when a person show you who they are, you need to believe it. You need to see when they getting mad and they throwing everything down and they cussing you out, then they want to fight. You got to begin to take notice to that. They are letting you know what type of person they are. And if you're tolerating that, you are letting them know, I will tolerate your abuse. You are letting them know, I will take what you're giving me. And you're letting them know you don't care about yourself. Because any person who is healed, guess what? They're not going to tolerate somebody cussing them out, throwing the shoes at them, kicking them, spitting on them, telling them what they got to do. So this is where we got to understand that a lot of times people have sold themselves out. They have sold their soul to the devil. What do I mean when I say sell your soul to the devil? When you don't care no more what's going on in your life, but you're just trying to hold on to dear life for a man or a woman, and you don't care nothing about your soul. That's selling your soul to the devil. Because we was created to bring God's glory. And so when you find yourself doing everything for a man and a woman, and your relationship with God is just like, it ain't nothing, you got to understand you have sold your soul to the devil for a man. Some people, you don't sold your soul to the devil for a woman. Some people do it for positions. Some people do it for accolades, for titles, not understanding that with this bond, you got some people even connected to churches that are abusive. They know that the churches, they're not growing, but because they have not gotten healed or delivered, they just want to be a part of something. And when you find people that just want to be a part of something, and you're being mistreated, you're being ignored, that you know what they're talking about you, that you know what you just like the trash can, they just dump stuff on you. You got to understand that that's a demonic bond, and that's a trauma bond. It's because you have experienced hurt in your life, and that you don't know what it's like to be healthy, that you'll find yourself being somewhere with people talking to you like you're a dog, and you making excuses. Oh, I made them upset. Oh, I frustrated them. No, just because I frustrated you don't give you the right to disregard me like I'm nothing. Just because I made you mad don't mean throw me aside like I'm trash. So this is where we got to understand. We're talking about your soul here. This is the invisible part of you, with your makeup, the way that you are, what you like, what you dislike. This is the part of you where the devil is having a field day because you don't know how to take care of yourself. You're allowing somebody else to control you. And the more you try to fight back, the more you try to talk to them, things get worse. That's because this is a spiritual thing going on. It's a demonic bond, and the devil is using that person to destroy you. So let's go back to the text. When you're looking at Judges 16, she pestered him daily with her words, and she pressed him that his soul was vexed. And he told her all his heart. Listen, she wore him out. She wore him out. Tell me what's making you strong. Tell me, how can you fight these men? And you know what? He wasn't even thinking you know what? Why is she asking me this? Why is she doing me like this? So this tell me that you can get so much and so much abuse that you can check out of reality and you can begin to tell somebody how to hurt you just because you're so hurt and you're so wounded and you're so damaged that you are telling another individual how to hurt you and you don't even recognize what you did. So he told her all his heart. He says, no razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. He said, if I am shaven, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. Verse 18, when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up once more, for he has told me all his heart. She's calling the enemy and telling him, I know what to do to take him down. Now here it is. This is a person who he's sleeping with. This is a person who he's spending time with. This is a person who he thinks loves him and not even understand he been played. So the lords of the Philistines came up to her and they gave her the money in her hand. Then she lured him to sleep on her knees, on her knees. And she called for a man, and they had shaved him off the 7 locks of his hair. Then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. This is where she laid this man's head on her lap. And she called some people to cut his hair off. Can I tell you, Samson was so drunk and so out of it. He laid his head on this woman's lap and they cut all his hair off and he did not wake up. And then when he did wake up, she began to torment him. This is the same person that he thought that loved him. This is the same person who he been sleeping with day after day that he left his wife for. So this is where you know that this is a demonic tie. This is where he sold his soul to the devil for sex. He sold his soul for the devil just for some moments of pleasure. And this is where you got to understand, when the devil come to you, oh, we're going to go to the movies. They only call you at night for the booty call. They only call you when they need some money. They only call you when they want to do something, when they're in need, and not understanding that this is a trauma bond. It's a demonic bond. It's a soul tie that you're connecting your mind to their mind and you don't even recognize it. When I looked up that word join, it means where you join yourself like glue with another person and you begin to agree with what they do to you. The Bible said, how can two walk together unless they agree? And so when you begin to agree, you may not say, I didn't say that I agreed, but when you allowing somebody to mistreat you, when you allowing somebody to talk ugly to you, to take from you, to manipulate you, to deceive you, and you don't say anything, you are coming into agreement. And this is where the enemy wants people to be at. He wants people to be at a place that they don't recognize that they are turning themselves over to this person. And this is why a lot of these people are so controlling and manipulative. And let's be honest, they can begin to fool and deceive like they really care. And this is why I'm always telling people, you really need to know what love means. You really need to know what love looks like, because if you go off what you see on television, if you go off your own feelings, you're going to be deceived, because love is not just buying me things. Love is just not you taking me out to eat dinner. Love is just not we holding hands, but then you cussing me out. Then next thing you slapping me upside my head. Then next you telling me I'm stupid. You're telling me I'm dumb. Next you taking my money. That's not love. And so when some people tell themselves lies that it's because they love me, it's because I made them upset, it's because I did this to them. So when you're making up excuses, you don't realize that this is a demonic bond. So when you lose yourself into another, when you lose your identity, because that's what Samson did. He lost his identity. He forgot the focus of what God called and ordained for him to do. He was supposed to be a deliverer for the children of Israel, but he got so caught up into this woman drinking and partying and having sex, he forgot about his assignment. How many times we have forgotten about what God has told us to do because we have gotten distracted by something that we want? This is why we have to be willing to put our wants and desires and put it on the altar and ask God to sanctify it. Because guess what? These feelings and this flesh, it will pull you out of the will of God. It will pull you into a place where you're spiritually dead and you don't even know that you're dead. It will cause you to be deceived because you're experiencing something that you never experienced before and you thought it was love, not understanding that you was being played. You was being played like a yo-yo. You was being played like a game. And this is why people try to isolate people, because they don't want nobody to tell the victim. They don't want nobody to tell the person who they abused. This is why you find some people, oh, I know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing, but you keep attracting abusers. You keep getting with people who are hurting you. You keep getting with people who are mistreating you because you're failing to listen to the instruction. And so therefore, life is going to teach you until you recognize, wait a minute, I ain't finna keep doing this. I'm not going to keep going through these same kind of things that I'm dealing with because I understand that it's not God. So when you got to understand, when you see somebody devaluing you, where your self-esteem, your self-respect, when you don't have honor, you got to understand you have allowed a situation to get you out of God. This is where some people will pull a person, and when they'll tell a person lies and false promises to make them feel good, to let them know, you know, I care for you. I was just angry. That's the reason why I did it. And you know, I cussed you out because I was just mad at you, but that's not really what I meant. And you got to understand, when you see this cycle going over and over again, you got to understand that it's a demonic tie. It's a demonic tie. It's one thing I can say as being a minister. I see a lot of people that go to church. They are not familiar with they're not familiar with the spiritual realm, and they're not familiar when a spirit is playing them. They're not familiar because they just, sometimes you be so naive just to get some good treatment, not understanding. Instead of just watching and beginning to pray and take that person to the Lord in prayer, but just go all over heels with what you see and not understanding, it's a trap of the enemy. And so when you find yourself where you don't want to listen, when you find yourself you are ignoring, you're dealing with a demonic connection. This is a demonic bond that you have married. This is why the Bible say when a man, he leave his mother, father, and he cleave to his wife. That word cleave means join. That means you come together, you think together, you talk together, you put the same things in your mind, you do the same thing. And so this is why when people sleep with other people that they're not married to, they begin to pick on those same characteristics. So if a person dealing with a homosexual thoughts, if this person is dealing with a whoredom, now this person who is a virgin, now they're thinking like a whore because the person who they slept with is whorish. Now the person who they slept with is poverty stricken. Here it is, things was going good in their life until they slept with that person. Now things begin to start falling apart because the same demons that was in the person who they slept with, now that demon have become into them. This is where we got to understand. This is where a lot of people are going downhill in the church because they feel like, you know what, don't nobody know what I'm doing. But you got to understand, you don't realize that you're pulling away from God and you're selling your soul. You're selling your soul out for materialistic things. You're selling your soul just to get your rent paid. You're selling your soul just to drive a car. You're selling your soul just to have some money to say that, you know what, I got a Louis Vuitton, but not understand. That's why the Bible say, why gain the world and lose your soul? Because some people are losing their souls all in these demonic relationships. And guess what? It will make you hinder your destiny. Samson's destiny was hindered because after this situation, here, he began to, they were getting to make a mockery, and he began to push the pillars. And in other words, he killed everybody, including himself. But in other words, it changed his destiny because he got distracted. And so you got to understand, you can connect with the wrong person who you sleeping with, and it can abort your destiny. I'm telling you, you can be sleeping with the wrong person, and it will affect your spiritual destiny because now it's going to cause you to make decisions based off your flesh, based off what you're dealing with between your legs and not dealing with your spirit, man. And this is where God is saying you got to fast and pray, and you got to realize that this is not healthy. I got another scripture for you. When you look at Micah, When you look at Micah 7:5, he said, do not trust in a friend. Do not put your confidence in a companion. He said, guard the doors of your mouth from her who lies in your bosom. So Micah is telling you, you can't trust people. You can't just be opening up your mouth telling people your business. He said, don't put your confidence in your companion. Because in other words, what he's saying is, don't make this person your God, because God is a jealous God. And if you begin to make your companion your God, guess what? That person is going to be your God, and God will allow that person to judge you. He will allow the wickedness in that relationship, the wickedness in that church, the wickedness on the job, the wickedness in your family member, whatever relationship it is, he will allow it to judge you because you chose not to listen. And this is where we got to understand. He said, guard the doors of your mouth, because sometimes we talk too much, especially if people get on Facebook and they tell all their business. Everybody is not your friend. Some people are imposters. Some people are on there because they want to know what's going on in your life. They want to hear what you're saying. They want to hear what you're doing. And then they'll call you and message you and say that you was on their spirit because they've been speaking some stuff over you and they want to see what you saying is true. See, this is where you got to understand. I got 5,000 friends, but I know those people ain't my friend. Some people are just spectators. Some people just want to hear what I'm saying so that they can go tell somebody else who on block. This is what they saying. This is what they doing. You got to be discerning, because the devil, he is not stupid. The devil is a trickster. He's a deceiver. He will monitor you. He will watch you, because when he want to take you down, he's looking for weak areas in your life. But when you are not sharp in yourself, when you have not gotten healed, when you have not dealt with the issues that have hurt you, you got to understand the devil is going to use them same issues to try to take you down, because he see you ain't working on yourself. He see that you ain't trying to get stronger. You ain't praying. He see that you ain't trying to go get you no help. You just winging and you having a good time. Oh, child, we had a good time at church. But you know what? Something is wrong when you go to church and you're never getting delivered. Something is wrong when you go into church and you're never getting healed. Something is wrong when everything you say is you had a good time, but your soul is still jacked up. Something is wrong when your soul is still wounded from stuff that have happened 20 years ago because you have not touched it. That's an indication you got a demonic tie with the church, because you're now finding yourself being comfortable with a place that's not helping you. You find yourself being comfortable in a relationship with somebody who always taking from you. You can have women friends, they always takers. You'll have some of them that even try to give you stuff and they'll try to bless you, but then you got to ask God, what is the motives? Is it mature? Is it pure? Why they doing what they doing? Or are they doing it for a motive? Because you got some people, they are frenemies. What I'm saying, they are a friend and they are an enemy at the same time, because they want to hear you talk about your business, but they never tell you their business. They want to know what's wrong with you, but then yet they never tell you what's wrong with them. You better start paying attention to these connections. You better start paying attention to these people that are in your life portraying, even some family members. This is why even Abraham and Lot had to separate. You will have some people will be a thorn in your flesh. You will even just like think about like with Joseph. Joseph's brother sold him into slavery. Sometimes you can have some of your family members are so toxic and they're so demonic. It's a demonic connection. They want to see you wounded. They want to see you in a bad place, because misery loves company, because they feel like if their life ain't being better, ain't moving, they don't want you to move forward either. And so every time you try to pull away from them, they'll say, oh, we need to get together. We need to forgive one another. Then you forgive them. Then the same thing that made y'all fall out, they do it again. See, that's a demonic connection. That's a demonic tie. And that the enemy is doing this so that you can lose your soul on foolery, because you saying, that's why Jesus said, who is my mother? He said, who is my father? He said, those that do the will of God is my mother and my father. So we can't get it twisted just because y'all got the same mom and daddy, y'all got the same sister, y'all in the same family. It don't mean that they got your best interest. Because if that person is not saved, this is what he says here, Micah 7:5. He said, for guard the doors of your mouth, for her who lies in your bosom. So in other words, it's that one that put their head on your chest. It's that one who lay their head on your lap and say, I love you. I thank God for you. And that's the very one that the enemy is tricking to deceive you. See, this is where we got to begin to say, God, I need you to show me every trauma, every demonic bond, every demonic connection that's going on in my life. Because you know what? I got to deal with this. Because you got to understand, this is where old lovers that you're no longer with, you better ask the Lord to break them demonic ties. You start thinking about them from time to time. You got to say, God, I break that tie. I call your name out of that person and call that person's name out of your soul and say, God, sever that tie. Break that tie. Get that image out of my mind. Get them out of my soul. Get them out of my spirit. Whatever that you got in your house that belongs to them, old pictures, old clothes, get rid of this stuff, because this is where the enemy will use that as a connection to try to send images to your mind. That person can be sending stuff to your mind and they don't even touch you. They can send things to your mind in your dreams. Why? Because your spirit man, it never sleeps. Even though our body lay down and we go to sleep, your spirit man is up 24/7. And so this is where you got to understand the devil is tricky. This is where sometimes people have dreams and they say, I don't remember what happened, because that devil did something that he didn't want you to see. You don't told somebody some information. You don't told them your check number. You don't told them your address, and you don't remember who you was talking to. That's an enemy. That's some kind of demonic tie. You got to understand the devil is tricky. And he don't play fair. And so this is where we got to begin to say, God, I need you to break these ties. I need you to purify me. I need you to heal me. Old relationships that you was in, friendships, churches, call them out of your soul. Call them out of your spirit and ask God to wash you. Psalm 51, created me clean hands in a pure heart. Your heart is your soul. Clean my mind, clean my soul. Get these thoughts out of my mind where I've been thinking about them, where I'm looking on their page, where I'm going through looking at their pictures. No, ask the Lord to wash you. Ask the Lord to cleanse you, because you got to get free of this wickedness, because this is where the enemy wants to tie you to a place of bondage when we're talking about this demonic tie and this demonic bond, because it's selling your soul. People don't realize that they have sold their soul to the devil. You can sell your soul to the devil and you be straight up in church, because when your mind, God does not have your mind, and that man and woman got your mind, that situation got your mind, that means that person who got your mind, that's the person who got your soul. And so this is what we got to learn to take inventory, and we got to start being mature. Stop being so carnal minded, thinking just because you went to church, that don't mean that you in the church. You are the church. And when you don't see yourself manifesting what God has called and ordained for us to manifest, a lot of times this is why I'm always telling people, get healed. Because if you're going to manifest the power of God, you first got to get healed in these areas. Why do I got to get healed? Because if I don't get healed, guess what? I'm going to contaminate other people. So if I'm dealing with rejection, I'm dealing with depression, I'm dealing with some stuff that can hurt somebody, when through my preaching and teaching, I can contaminate another person. Another thing you got to understand, it's hard to believe God the way that you need to believe him if you keep on allowing these different spirits. Because guess what they're going to try to do? They're going to try to talk you out of the things of God. They're going to try to tell you, oh, the word don't work. God don't love you. So this is why you got to learn to work on yourself. Learn how to love yourself. And guess what? Don't be in connection with nobody. If they're not trying to love on themselves, if they're not going in the same direction that you're going in, that's an indication that's not the right person for you. No matter how bad your flesh want it, but you got to begin to say, God, I want you more. You got to begin to say, God, I know you know what's good for me. I don't know what's good for me. And so if God is showing you, that's why he say read the word. Because when you're reading the word is going to show you what's of God and what's not of God. And so when you see a person is not living their life trying to be like God, that's your indication you need to move on. But so this is why people find themselves keep going back like a dog to his vomit. They can't shake it. They can't let the person go because it's a demonic connection. This is a spiritual connection. This is why you're thinking about them. You can't let them out your mind. You erasing all the bad, but you just focusing on the good. And your life is down in the dumps. Here you got to eat. You eating out of trash can. Here it is. You sitting up here sleeping on people's couches. You going from here to there and not understanding that the enemy is playing you like a fool because you're connected yourself to somebody that was sent by hell. And because when a person is disconnected from God, they choose not to listen. But you got to understand, God is the only one that can break this tie. We got to come to God and say, I need help. I know that I'm in a mess. And you got to be willing to look at your life and say, God, I know that this is not you. God, I know, I'm unhappy. I'm depressed. I'm frustrated. I feel like I'm in a box. I feel like I'm in a trap. I feel like I can't breathe. You got to know something is wrong with that connection that you got. It could be a connection with a person, a connection with a job, a connection with a church, a connection with friends and family members. But when you feeling like crap, and it's always like that, and when you get ready to leave, they want to start giving you gifts, you got to know that you're dealing with a trauma bond / demonic bond. And I shared with y'all last week, this is where it's called the Stockholm Syndrome, where a person will fall in love with the person who have held them captive. It's where a person will fall in love with somebody who have sex trafficked them. It's because it's demonically oriented. And you got to understand, God ain't never meant for us to do no crazy stuff like this. So when your mind go to start wandering and you're doing things that are not God, you got to know that this is a spiritual connection. And this is something that God said, I have no parts of this. And so you got to understand, you praying and asking God to bless something. And God said, I ain't got nothing to do with this. So as I get ready to close out, I'm telling you, people of God, we're going to come back next week talking about part 3. Because I see this a lot, and that's why I'm talking about it. It's where we got to be honest with ourselves. And the reason why I've been there myself. The reason why we stay in trauma, the reason why we stay in a demonic bond, because when you really don't know what love is, and where you have got attracted to the abuse, and you have mistaken the abuse for love, that's an indication you really sick in your mind for real, because you have no clue that what you doing is not of God. So I pray that this message was a blessing to you. I pray that it's an eye-opener to you. I pray that it really awakens you to realize that it's time for change to take place in your life. But the only person that can bring change is you and Holy Spirit. He gives you the strength to do it. And so I just pray that you will ask God for help to help you so that you can find yourself to break free from this trauma bond, this soul tie, and this demonic bond, because you need to get that person's spirit out of your mind. You need to untie your soul's been like this. You need to untie that stuff, because this thing is toxic to you. So as I see you all next week, I pray the blessing of the Lord be upon you, and you all be blessed. Bye-bye.